This movie tells about the story of a young Iranian boy named Ali Jahani, who faces many challenges as he tries to achieve his dreams in a society that often pushes him away. The story is set in the 80s when Iran was at war with Iraq, and the United States was supporting Iraq. Worried about their son's safety and not wanting him to get caught up in the chaos of the war, Ali's parents decide to send him to the United States. Before he leaves, Ali's mother gives him a special keepsake, a key, to remember her by. After a long journey, Ali arrives in California, where he moves in with his uncle, Hafez. Ali's new life in America isn't easy. On his first day at school, he faces racism from his classmates. Because of the war between Iran and Iraq, many Americans see Iranians as enemies, and Ali is labeled a terrorist by some of his peers. He becomes a target for bullying, especially from a boy named Mike, who constantly insults and humiliates him. One day, after school, Ali passes by a restaurant where his classmate Christy works. At that moment, she's helping her mother run the place. The next morning, Ali's uncle packs him lunch for school, but when Mike and his friends make fun of the food, Ali throws it away, feeling ashamed. The racism Ali faces isn't limited to school. His uncle, Hafez, also struggles with prejudice in their neighborhood. Many people see him as a threat because he's Iranian and they avoid him. As a result, Hafez's workshop loses customers, and he becomes isolated from the community. Back at school, Ali tries to fit in by joining extracurricular activities. He considers joining the football team, but changes his mind when he finds out Mike is on the team. He then thinks about joining the basketball team, but feels out of place there too. One day, while Ali is looking at the trophies his school has won in various sports, Mike bumps into him on purpose, knocking him down. The two get into a fight, and the principal, Mr. Skinner, steps in to break it up. At that moment, he warns Ali not to cause any more trouble or risk being expelled. Later, after school, Ali sees Christy being scolded by her mother for failing a test. Not only that, her mother also threatens to sell her car as punishment. Feeling sorry for Christy, Ali offers to help her study. Since he's a good student, he believes he can help her improve her grades. Unexpectedly, Christy agrees, grateful for his kindness. That evening, Ali goes to the school gym, where a wrestling tournament is taking place. He watches his school's wrestling team compete and becomes fascinated by the sport. Seeing the wrestlers in action, Ali feels a spark of excitement and decides he wants to join the team. The next day, Mr. Skinner talks to the wrestling coach, Plyler, and tells him to improve the team's performance. He also instructs Plyler not to let Ali join the team if he asks. Later, Ali approaches Coach Plyler during practice and expresses his desire to join the wrestling team. However, Plyler refuses, saying they aren't accepting new members. But Ali doesn't give up. He keeps trying to convince the coach to give him a chance, determined to prove himself. Seeing his determination, Coach Plyler finally decides to give him a chance. He tells Ali to face off against one of the team's wrestlers, a boy named Jimmy. It was revealed that Ali has no experience in wrestling, so Jimmy easily overpowers him during the match. Unexpectedly, Jimmy admits that Ali is tough and doesn't give up easily. Impressed by Ali's spirit, Coach Plyler allows him to join the wrestling team and even gives him a team jersey. As a result, Ali feels proud and hopeful as he heads home, excited to share the news with his uncle. When Ali arrives home, he's surprised to see his uncle, Hafez, dressed in a sharp suit. Hafez then shares some difficult news. He's struggling financially and can no longer afford to let Ali stay with him. With no other option, he tells Ali that he plans to send him back to Iran and asks him to start packing his things. Heartbroken, Ali goes to his room, feeling lost and sad. Hafez, feeling guilty, follows him and finds Ali sitting on his bed, holding the wrestling jersey Coach Plyler gave him. When Hafez asks about the jersey, Ali explains that he's joined the school wrestling team. Hearing this, Hafez changes his mind about sending Ali back to Iran. He decides to support his nephew and help him become a great wrestler so that no one will ever look down on him again. It's then revealed that Hafez is a former professional wrestler who has won many tournaments in the past. Several days later, at school, Coach Plyler begins teaching Ali the basics of wrestling. At the same time, Hafez also trains Ali to build his strength at home. He gives Ali a traditional Persian exercise tool called a meal and tells him to swing it 100 times a day to strengthen his arms. After his training sessions, Ali meets Christy at the restaurant to help her study. At first, they both feel a little awkward being around each other, but they soon warm up and become good friends. As time passes, Ali and the wrestling team prepare for an inter-school wrestling tournament. Ali is placed in the 126 kilograms weight class, and Hafez comes to cheer him on. During the match, Ali struggles at first. His opponent knocks him down repeatedly, and the crowd shouts cruel, racist remarks at him. Despite this, Hafez encourages Ali from the sidelines, telling him to stay focused and not give up. Inspired by his uncle's support, Ali gets back up and fights harder, eventually winning the match. As a result, Hafez, Coach Plyler, and Ali's teammates cheer loudly for his victory. After the match, Principal Skinner calls Coach Plyler aside. Even though Ali won, Skinner is unhappy about his presence on the team. He worries that Ali's victory might upset the audience and cause trouble. However, Coach Plyler ignores Skinner's concerns because, out of all the wrestlers on the team, Ali is the only one who won his match. From that day on, Ali trains even harder. He practices new wrestling techniques and works on building his physical strength. His hard work pays off, and he continues to win every tournament he competes in. Sometime later, Jimmy and the other wrestlers surprise Ali by giving him a team jacket, a sign that they now accept him as one of their own. At the same time, Christy's grades improve thanks to Ali's help with her studies. To celebrate their successes, Ali, Christy, and their friends sneak into a private pool at someone's house to have some fun. At one moment, while they're swimming and laughing, the owner of the house shows up and chases them away. Everyone manages to escape except Ali and Christy, who are still in the pool. Luckily, the owner leaves before catching them, and the two sneak away, laughing about their close call. The story then shifts to a young man named Roman, the reigning champion of the high school wrestling competitions. Apparently, Roman hears about Ali's impressive winning streak in inter-school wrestling tournaments. Since no one has ever come close to matching Roman's record, he feels threatened by Ali's success. Determined to prove himself, Roman decides to challenge Ali in the next tournament. But first, he needs to lose weight to compete in Ali's weight class, which is 126 kilograms. Not long after, before a match, Coach Plyler tells Ali to stay hidden on the sidelines because the audience has been making racist comments about him. While hiding, Ali accidentally overhears a conversation between Christy and her friend, Wendy. At that moment, Wendy asks Christy if she's dating Ali, but she denies it. To Ali's shock, Christy even makes some racist remarks about him. Hurt and angry, Ali channels his emotions into his match. He defeats his opponent in just a few seconds, leaving everyone stunned. Even Principal Skinner, who has been critical of Ali, stands up and applauds his incredible performance. After the tournament, Roman confronts Ali in the locker room and threatens him, warning him that their upcoming match won't be easy. When Ali gets home, he tells his uncle, Hafez, about Roman's threat. As a result, to prepare for the match, Hafez and Ali watch recordings of Roman's past wrestling tournaments. After carefully studying the footage, Hafez discovers Roman's weakness, his balance. Hafez then teaches Ali special locking techniques to use against Roman during the match. However, Ali feels unsure of himself. He's about to face the undefeated high school wrestling champion, and the pressure is overwhelming. Seeing Ali's fear, Hafez gives him some advice. He tells Ali that he'll never become the best if he lets fear control him. Hafez also asks Ali if there's anyone he's still afraid of, someone who makes him doubt himself. The next day at school, Ali decides to follow his uncle's advice and confront the person who has always intimidated him, Mike. As Ali approaches Mike, Christy stops him and asks why he's been ignoring her. In response, Ali tells her that he overheard her conversation with Wendy and was deeply hurt by her words. After saying this, Ali walks away from her and goes straight to Mike. In front of everyone, Ali stands up to Mike and fights back, finally overcoming his fear. However, Principal Skinner arrives and breaks up the fight. When he learns that Ali started it, Skinner has no choice but to expel Ali from the school wrestling team. This means Ali can no longer compete in the upcoming tournament. Meanwhile, Coach Plyler visits Hafez at home. He tells Hafez how impressed he is with Ali's wrestling skills and asks Hafez to become his assistant coach. Plyler believes Hafez's techniques can help the school's wrestling team achieve greatness. At the same time, Hafez agrees without hesitation. The next day, Hafez starts training the team alongside Plyler, while Ollie watches from the sidelines, feeling lost and frustrated after being kicked off the team. Later, as Ollie walks through the school hallway, Christy runs after him, desperate to explain herself. She tells Ollie that she only said those hurtful things because she didn't want to be teased by her friends. But now Christy doesn't care what anyone thinks. She truly cares about Ollie. To prove her feelings, Christy kisses Ollie in front of everyone, shocking the students around them. Eventually, Christy tells Ollie that she loves him and doesn't want to hide it anymore. After making up with Christy, Ollie hurries to the principal's office to ask for another chance to rejoin the wrestling team. At first, Principal Skinner refuses Ollie's request. But Ollie doesn't give up. He shows the principal the key his mother gave him, which he considers his lucky charm. He explains how this key has helped him stay strong through all his struggles. Ollie then opens up about the hardships he faced in Iran and begs the principal to let him prove himself. He promises to make the school proud. Moved by Ollie's heartfelt plea, Principal Skinner finally agrees to let him back on the team. In the next wrestling tournament, Ollie isn't the only one who succeeds. His teammates also perform exceptionally well. Thanks to the training and guidance from Coach Plyler and Hafez, the entire team qualifies for the final round. That evening, Ollie and his friends plan to celebrate their victories. At that moment, Ollie wants to invite his uncle to join the celebration, but Hafez declines and decides to head home instead. Tragically, on his way home, Hafez is involved in a fatal car accident. His sudden death devastates Ollie, who has now lost the only family he had in California, as well as his best friend and coach. The day of the wrestling tournament's final round arrives, and Ollie is set to face Roman, the defending champion. It was revealed that all of Ollie's teammates who made it to the finals have already lost their matches, so Ollie is now the school's last hope. Before the match begins, Coach Plyler encourages Ollie, reminding him to stay focused and fight for the victory his uncle always believed he could achieve. The match starts, and Ollie struggles in the first round. Roman dominates, knocking Ollie down repeatedly and scoring far more points. In the second round, Roman commits a foul, which costs him points and gives Ollie a better chance to catch up. When Roman knocks Ollie down again, Ollie finds it hard to get back up. But as he glances at the empty seat next to Coach Plyler, the seat meant for Hafez, Ollie feels a surge of determination. He remembers the locking techniques Hafez taught him and uses them one by one. Slowly, Ollie turns the match around, eventually defeating Roman in a dramatic comeback. The crowd erupts in cheers as Ollie wins the gold medal. Not only does he bring pride to his school, but he also earns a full scholarship to continue his education at the college level. The film ends by showing Ollie and Christy visiting Hafez's grave. Before returning home, Ollie places his medal of victory against Roman on the tombstone of his uncle's grave. The film ends. So the moral of the story is, when life tries to bully you, suplex it into submission, and always keep a spare key to unlock your dreams. Just don't forget to dodge the racist comments and awkward pool parties along the way.